Aha! There's the blue puffball, and look who he's with. Splodge! Come and destroy. No. We're not helping you anymore. No. In fact, we don't even like you. Not at all. Run, lady, and I'm going to help. That line doesn't quite work, I'm sorry. So am I, milady. Right, let's get going. Oh, who needs you, Splodge? Watch out for the viaduct, it's dangerous. Ah! What's the matter, lady? That engine's name is Lady. She's part of the clue to the source of the gold dust. Now I'll get you, Burnett Stone! No, you won't, because the magic you refuse to believe in will get the better of you. I do believe in your magic. I want to destroy it. Yeah, good luck with that. Okay, here goes nothing. Seems safe. Thomas? This bridge isn't dangerous to cross. What are they talking about? Wrong bridge, it's the viaduct. That's falling apart. Silly engines. Silly little engines. Silly little steam engines. Me and Penchy will see to them. Oh, my giddy aunt. Oh, that's my line, Percy. Wait. Who are you? Correct. Huh? Come on, lady. This is your shining time too. I hope so. Come on, lady. Little engines can do big things. That was close. Little engines can do big things. Phew. Well done, Thomas. Well done. Pinchy! Don't fail me now. Oh well. Nice time for a cruise. Hey! What do you think you're doing? Wait, hold on. Aren't you supposed to be on a beach somewhere? Like Bulgy, I was given a second chance. Also, the producers needed a barge. Oh. It's not funny. Yay, we escaped. Phew. Whew. Hey, lady. I kind of like you. You do? Yeah. I kind of like you too. You do? Yes. You want to make out? Sure. Hey, hold on a moment. I booked the bed for 3 o'clock. Yes. Well, I've booked it for 7 o'clock. So, let the engine have his fun. Can I book 1 o'clock? Yes. I'll leave you two to it. Enjoy. Oh, Thomas, you are indeed the #1 engine. Oh, lady, it's wonderful to be with you. You truly are a remarkable and magnificent magical engine. Thank you. Oh gosh. Oh, we never get anything like this on the Magic Railroad. Yeah, it's difficult to come by on Sodor. For now, at least. Oh, yeah. Well, lady, this is your shining time. Oh, yes, thank you, Thomas. And it proves little engines can do big things. Yeah. So, what do we do when we're done? Well, you've got to go back to the Magic Railroad, although I would like you to stay. So would I. Oh well, I guess it's finished. Maybe we can meet up again or something. Maybe. You're always welcome here on Sony. Thank you. And you're always welcome at Shining Time. Thank you. One last puff. Yes! Oh! Choo! Choo! I am so recording this. Wait. Can engines have sex? Can engines feel love? Do engines even have sexuality? Well, I know what I'd be, and frankly, I think Thomas is taken, so my plans are out the window. Oh well, at least he's happy with Lady. Hello ladies and gentlemen, Nick here, and welcome to my review of Thomas and the Magic Railroad, the 2000 Thomas the Tank Engine feature film, the one and only feature film, although some of the later specials did get limited theatrical releases in the UK, but this is the only feature film from Thomas. So, Thomas the Tank Engine is a franchise that, or Thomas and Friends I should say, is a franchise that was pretty much my first fan base thing I got into. If you know me, I'm quite into quite a lot of things, especially Doctor Who, James Bond, lots of other stuff. If you look around this channel, you'll find quite a few videos, and some I haven't even done videos for yet. But Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends was the first. Disney shortly followed, but Thomas went first, and yeah, so this is the first fan base. So there is quite a bit of nostalgia going into it as well. I've been trying to rekindle the relationship with the franchise for the last 2 years, and been going through every single episode, up to past season 15. A horrible era at the moment, seasons 15 and 16, but hopefully things should improve with season 17. But yeah, back in the day when I was younger, this was I don't know if this was the first film, but it's certainly probably the one I watched the most at the time before before getting more into Disney. But yeah, this one was a great childhood film at the time. Of course, being back in my early childhood stages, I probably would not have had the same film critic mind that I do now. And of course, this film isn't very popular with adults, and maybe not even the older children. This one's got a reputation for not being that good. However, there is an interesting production and pre-production history behind this movie. And it did have quite a bit of troubles. A little bit of backstory. The film was originally proposed by Thomas, the series creator, not the creator of the character, the creator of the TV series, Britt Allcroft. She decided that she would like to make a Thomas movie after being approached by producer Barry London. However, the project didn't quite go ahead straight away. It did take a couple of years, and it did follow season 5 of the TV show, which is one of the best seasons. But yeah, after season 5 came out in 1998, the movie went ahead for a 2000 release. However, by this point, they changed production companies, but they were going to the Isle of Wight to film due to tax break. It wouldn't cost as much. The Isle of Wight, not the Isle of Wight, the Isle of Man. At the same time, Britt Allcroft decided to set the movie have it as a crossover between Thomas and her other show, Shining Time, Shining Time Station, which was an American show.
and the film serves as like I said, it's a crossover between the two. However, whilst the film went ahead without much of a production problem, however, things went downhill after um, test screenings didn't go down too well, and the executive producers decided to meddle with the story, such as changing voice actors because they sounded too old, supposedly. In some cases, maybe even too British, and some characters were cut completely due to being too scary, such as the famous P.T. Boomer character, who was supposed to be the main human villain of the film, and being the main villain for the Shining Time characters. The Shining Time characters in Shining Time, some that Mr. Conductor would have faced Diesel 10 when he got to the island. Um, but yes, there was a lot of changes, and in the editing room, it was chopped up quite a bit. And some scenes were moved out of order, and like I said, some characters were cut completely, and voice actors for the engines, which for some of the engines were changed. And overall, it did have a more American feel to the film than probably a co-British American feel that would have come about. And in the end, it seemed like a lesser version of the film was produced, by the sounds of it, which is a shame. And maybe the director's cut version that Brittlcroft is wanting to make and wanting to release would be better, but because Destination Films that have released the film are owned by Sony, they aren't really that keen on doing it at the moment. But like the Donner cut of Superman 2, Richard Donner's cut his version. Perhaps in a few years' time, we might get the Brittlcroft director's cut version of Thomas and the Magic Railroad. We'll see. There was supposed to be a 20th anniversary Blu-ray release, but it out this year, but that's been pushed back. But it probably wasn't going to include the director's cut anyway on the Blu-ray with the original. It's probably just going to be the original theatrical release, but maybe for the 25th anniversary. But how is the version of the film that did get released in cinemas and did get shown to the public? Well, the story centers on this evil diesel called Diesel 10 coming to the island of Sodor to look for a magical lost engine called Lady, who is actually hiding in America by Burnett Stone, a former engine worker before retiring to look after Lady following his wife's passing. The two had been sworn to protect the engine from childhood. I think by the Conductor family, which is where Mr. Conductor, played by Alec Baldwin, comes into this movie, and Burnett Stone is notably played by Peter Fonda, who sadly passed away last year, I think. So this review is dedicated to Peter Fonda. And Alec Baldwin also was the narrator of Thomas seasons 5 and 6, which came before and after this movie in the American dubs. Michael Angelis, who sadly also passed away a few weeks ago, this review is also dedicated to him, was the narrator of seasons 3 through to 16. Yeah, in the UK dubs, and was going to voice James and Percy here, but because he sounded too old, he was removed by the producers and replaced by other actors. But more on that later, I suppose. But yeah, Mr. Conductor, played by Alec Baldwin, he's a fun character. He's a happy-go-lucky character. He lives at Shining Time Station, which if you know about Shining Time Station, I haven't seen it, but I know about it. If you know or have seen it, then you would know about Mr. Conductor, first played by Ringo Starr and then by George Carlin. And so he travels from Shining Time to look after Sodor whilst the Fat Controller is on holiday. But things are starting to go wrong in Shining Time, and his magic railroad that connects Shining Time to Sodor is starting to disappear, and his universe is starting to crumble. So he needs to find the clues to try and get back the magic gold dust that helps him travel on the magic railroad between Sodor and Shining Time, as well as teleport from different locations in both universes. But as I mentioned earlier, Diesel 10 is looking for Lady, and he wants to destroy her and dominate the steam engines, who have to they have to try and work out the mystery, and they have to try and find Lady before Diesel 10 causes problems for all of them. And that's basically the plot of the film, with Burnett's granddaughter Lily coming in to try and help him at some point when she's staying with him, and Mr. Conductor calling on his cousin, Junior, which could cause some confusion for some people, whether they are cousins or if they're father and son or something. It can be a bit confusing. Then again, James Bond apparently has a nephew called James Bond Jr., see the 1991 to 1992 TV show. So, yeah, a theory suggests that James Bond had a brother who was also called James Bond and had a son called James Bond Jr., and goodness, this is more complicated than Frank and Frank from Timothy Goes to School. Has anyone watched that show? It's pretty good. It's a pretty good show. Recommend it for the younger audiences. Maybe not toddlers, but maybe about 5, 6, 7-year-olds. Anyway, so despite being a Thomas the Tank Engine movie, there is a lot more focus on the human characters, and apparently in the original cut, that was going to be even more of the case. However, if the film would have been a bit better structured and paced, I think I might actually have liked that. But it is good to have a bit more. It would have been nice to have a bit more engine stuff. It was great to have the engines there, having some fun with each other. We got to see Thomas, Henry, Gordon, James, Percy, and Toby. But where's Edward? Where did Edward go? Where's Edward? I don't know why. Where's Edward gone? I don't think he was cut. I just don't think he was ever in the film to begin with. Oh, that's a shame. Other characters that from the TV show that do appear in this are Bertie the Bus and Harold the Helicopter. I think George the Steamroller was going to be in it, but his scenes were also cut. But thankfully, the engines that they do have in this movie, the 6 that they do have, do get quite a bit of stuff to do. Well, some of them do anyway. I mean, besides Thomas, we got a couple of scenes with James and quite a bit of Percy, a little bit with Gordon, a couple of stuff with Toby. There's this one bit where he's overhearing Diesel 10 and his 2 accomplices, Splatter and Dodge, or Splodge, as he calls them, both of them, because he can't be bothered to remember both names separately. So there's this one bit where Toby overhears them talking about, well, Diesel 10 has overheard Thomas and Percy talking about the lost engine, and then Toby goes to find out what Diesel 10's telling Splatter and Dodge, and then he has to delay them a little bit, so rings his bell and has Diesel 10 with his giant claw on his back to crash the sheds on top of him and splodge. That was a great moment. That was a brilliant Toby moment. I thought that was really great and really funny, and shows that even old steam trams like Toby have their badass moments now and again. Nice. I also think Percy's got some good moments when he works out what the way that where Lady could be. He works out some things that relate to the film. Sadly, Gordon and Henry don't have as much to do in the film. They're just there, basically. Henry has some sort of idea of what Diesel 10 might want to do with Lady, to destroy her and try and find her, and thinks that's how he can destroy her. But he doesn't really get much to do, and Gordon's just there as well. He has a few things to do. It's funny when he gets scared by Diesel 10 at the start, but neither of those two really do much. So maybe that's why Edward wasn't here, because otherwise, what would they have him do? But it still would have been nice. I'm at least happy to see the other engines here, so, or at least the ones up to Toby. But still, the bits James has, he gets a couple of moments to himself, and there's this strange bit where when Mr. Conductor Jr. is on Diesel 10, they go to the scrap works, and then James is just there for some reason, and Mr. Conductor Jr. has to get him out before Diesel 10 gets both of them. But yeah, I don't know what James was doing there, unless he wanted to be in the red smoke, because he is the bright red engine of Sodor. He is the most what's the words that he usually says? The most splendid red engine on Sodor. So maybe he just likes to be in the red smoke. I don't know. I don't know why he's there. They just decided to have him there. Maybe there was a bit that was cut that would have explained it. Maybe he had a line or something saying that he would go to the scrap works or something. I don't know. It's not explained. The scene's pretty nice though, but it's not explained. There's a couple of nice scenes that are pretty interesting and some pretty good tenseful moments with some engines, but some of them are a bit disjointed and some are a bit odd. Thankfully, Thomas does get a notable amount of screen time despite having a smaller amount of screen time for what is supposed to be his movie. Yeah, he's the main character, but he doesn't get as much screen time as you would expect. But he does get the main engine role. He does get quite a bit of stuff to do, and you do follow him throughout the story for the most part. Certainly on the Sodor stuff. Um, as for the human characters, Mr. Conduct, or the humanoid, in the case of the conductors, they might be magical humans. Mr. Conductor's a fun character, and Alec Baldwin really plays up the comedic, hammy side of the character. He's really overdoing the acting. It's still fun. I'm enjoying him. Peter Fonda, on the other hand, is a bit more depressed. A depressed character as he's lost his wife, and the engine he sought to protect was damaged, and now he can't make her steam. She's not going to work until towards the end, where they get the coal, the special island of Sodor coal into her. Whether or not this is the special coal Henry uses or not, actually, I think it might be, but I think it's from Sodor, not Wales. But actually, to be honest, with Henry throughout the show, they get him special coal when his boiler doesn't work in season 1, and then they fix his boiler, and then by this point he's now needing special coal again, which carries on as a thing throughout the show. So I'm not sure what's going on with him, whether he has to get special coal again or not. It gets confusing, or maybe they just ignored the fact that he got a rebuild. But that's an issue with the show as a whole, not necessarily just this film. But anyway, Bernard Stone, like I said, he's a depressed character, and Peter Fonda is fantastic. He does a fantastic depressed role. I know one of the main complaints that came out of this film, in terms of the acting, was that Peter Fonda was too serious. He was too depressed for a children's film, for a young children's film. But to be honest, in the situation of the character, it makes sense, and I think Fonda does a great job. I think the overacting by Baldwin is more critical, but I'm still enjoying that. Mara Wilson, on the other hand, played by who plays Lily Stone, isn't really giving her all. She's a bit bored in places. She's just feeling like she has to do it. She's been cast, and she's like, oh, all right then. I think she could have had. I think she could have been a bit better. I thought she was all right. Maybe she could have been a bit more enthusiastic at the very least, or pretended to be enthusiastic. I don't know. I think Lily's a good character, but I think Mara Wilson wasn't enthusiastic enough to play her. Michael E. Rogers plays Junior. He's pretty good. He's pretty fun, and he's a bit of an opposite character to his cousin, who's Alex Baldwin's character, as he's a bit more of a lazy guy who prefers to go to the beach. But once he's stuck on top of Diesel 10, he starts to do some more responsibility. To be honest, his inclusion in the film actually is only just so that Lily can get to the island of Sodor, and that the first time, and that's about it. He doesn't really do an awful lot. He is another character who's just there. Maybe he could have had maybe he did some more stuff in the original edit, but again, he's just there. We also got a character called Patch, who is a local boy who in this version of the film, he knows about Lady early on in the film, but in the original edit, he was supposed to know about it about halfway through, once Lily had gone to Sodor, and Mr. Stone was trusting him with his secrets. So that's a case of scenes being swapped around in the editing room, being out of order. Still, the character is a pretty good character and pretty fun to be around. He also has his own horsey, and it's probably that horse that's the only explanation of how he could get the whole truck of coal that Thomas and Lily brought to Shining Time to Bernard Stone's cave warehouse. The only explanation of how the whole truck could get there from the edge of a mountain cliff is if the horse had helped bring it down, because there is no other way that truck could have been brought down into the cave or to the workshop from the top of a cliff. The other characters worth noting are characters from Shining Time: Stacey Jones, the station master, and Billy Two Feathers, the engine driver, who are both original characters from the Shining Time show. They've got some good moments here. It's worth pointing here that I think in the show Shining Time, Billy Two Feathers was supposed to be a native Indian, but they hadn't got a native Indian actor to play him, whilst in this film they do. So I think they get a bit more closer in accuracy to that. Which it's funny that they get there. It's more closer. There's more accuracy towards Shining Time than there is towards Thomas in in this film. Anyway, finally, Diesel 10. I think he's actually okay. I think for this film, he's not going to be winning any awards for best villain of all time. He might even be up for contender for one of the stupidest. Maybe not the worst, but maybe one of the stupidest. He's just a bit. He's got some dumb moments where, like, he crashes that shed I mentioned earlier by that Toby. Toby distracted them, so he caused that, and then he also whacked a coal dumper thing on top of him by accident. Yeah, he can be a bit incompetent, and Splatter and Dodge aren't that much better as henchmen. They're just there, and they're just there to laugh and giggle and be silly. Yeah, I think Diesel 10 was going to be a bit more threatening in the original, but again, it was cut out or cut down or just changed, so he would be less scary. But unfortunately, that makes him less smart or less intimidating, which may be good for very younger audiences, but for the slightly older kids and for older audiences above them, it does not quite fit. I think Diesel 10's fun. He's all right, but he's not dumb, but not smart. He's not very smart, and I think he could have been improved a little bit, quite a bit. I do like the voice they gave him. I think it sounds American, but it's still a pretty dastardly villain voice. I will give them that. Speaking of voice actors, they're all right for the film. From the original trailer I've heard for the original Thomas voice that they changed out, and the original Diesel 10 voice they changed out, those actually sounded even better. I think the guy that they were going to get for Thomas, that Britt Hallcroft thought was perfect for the character, he does sound better than the guy that they did get. Fun fact, Ewan McGregor was actually up for the role as well. He didn't get it, but I think actually that maybe he should have. If Britt Hallcroft's original choice wasn't allowed to be Thomas, then I think they should have gotten Ewan McGregor. They didn't. They got a Canadian actor. I think we should have had Britt Hallcroft's first choice. If not, Ewan McGregor. I think Ewan McGregor as Thomas would have been great. I think Anthony Hopkins was also up for the role. Was it or up for a role maybe? But he wasn't in the film. I don't think you got any big names in the voice cast. I mean, some notable names for Americans maybe, but not for the British. And I think the main notable cast are the humans. So yeah, that's a shame. And as mentioned earlier, Michael Angelis, who was the narrator of Thomas seasons 3 to 16 in the UK dub, was originally going to be in the film. He was going to voice James and Percy, and I think, yes, he should have. But because he sounded too old and or too British, he was replaced by two female actors, two actresses who do male voices. We've got actors who are male who've done female voices and female actresses who've done male voices. Nancy Cartwright and Kath Swayze immediately spring to mind when I think about female voice actresses voicing male characters and putting on a male voice, and we've had that before. We've got both sides of the genders voicing the other side. I know Keith Wickham, for instance, who voices many characters in Thomas season 13 onwards, does Dowager Hat as one of his voice characters, and she's a female character, so it's actually quite funny. I think the reason they got him in to do that one, A, because it's funny, and B, because she's Sir Topham Hatt's mother and he voices Sir Topham Hatt. I have to quickly pop out of the movie review to quickly address the franchises in general. Keith Wickham is playing many characters, certainly in the UK dub, maybe not so much in the US, but has a few. One of the characters in both is Sir Topham Hatt, and certainly also Gordon in the UK dub. And I think for those characters, it was the best casting choice. Keith Wickham as Sir Topham Hatt and Gordon. But that's not going to happen until 2009, 2010. For the franchise, we were in 2000 territory at the moment for the film. But I just wanted to quickly address that Keith Wickham as Sir Topham Hatt and Gordon was probably the best casting decision that was ever made for the Thomas series. So anyway, back to the movie. The voice actresses they get in for James and Percy do a decent job. as their characters. I'm slightly leaning towards Percy's voice actress doing a better job for his character. It does sound more like Percy than James does, but I would have preferred Angelus. I would have preferred Michael Angelus. And he doesn't even get a role in this movie because he wasn't voicing those characters, which is a shame. I think this and Great Discovery was the only thing he didn't do. Maybe he might have had something to do in Great Discovery, but he wasn't narrating that one. That was Pierce Brosnan. But yeah, this and maybe Great Discovery were the only things he didn't do between start of season 3 and end of season 16. Whether he did the special between season 16 and 17, I'm not quite sure. They might have swapped him with Martin Monaghan by that point, or otherwise Monaghan would have started with season 17. But yeah, that's disappointing. And as for the other voices, again, they don't quite fit. The voice actors in seasons 13 onwards, I think some of them got swapped out around 2015 time. But the voice actors from 2009 onwards, or 2009 to 15, and then 2015 onwards, there's quite a few that work, and some of them don't quite. But I think more of the ones from 2009 onwards, 2009 to 15, 2015 onwards, do work for the characters they have been selected, especially certain ones like Keith Wickham on most, if not all, of his characters. And I think they've got the right Thomas voice since 2015. They've got the definitive Thomas voice actor voice. But for the Magic Railroad, I don't think they got the right actors in for most of the characters. Maybe they had another cast lined up, but like I said, some of them did get swapped out, so I wouldn't be surprised if the whole cast got swapped out. Before we wrap up, I forgot to mention the character of Lady herself that comes in the final act, voiced by Britt Allcroft herself, and I think she does a good job in the voice acting. Not 100% sure if it fits, but you know what? Fair enough. It works for this film. And I think Lady's a good character. She doesn't have an awful lot to do, but she's there. She's basically a plot point. I think the whole relationship with her and Thomas is, over the years, and certainly probably in the minds of younger children, she could be considered a girlfriend of Thomas, despite having just been there together for a few seconds as friends, just acquaintances for a few seconds. Although he does have a dream about her in the special calling all engines, but you know that's the only other appearance of her, by the way, which is a shame. But yeah, to be honest, I think there's potential for this character. I think we could get more of this character if she came back, not just in a dream sequence, but in an actual main character in the or a recurring character at least, or even a guest character for a one-off. I think there's some potential, but I think she's fine for what she is. She's more, as I was saying, because she could be considered a girlfriend of Thomas, and there's the whole damsel in distress side of relationships, or at least in the minds of people who would put them in a relationship. On screen, there's not that much, but in the mindset later on, you could think maybe they could be, and in that case, you could think, well, in that case, she is sort of a damsel in distress that Thomas has to come in, well, not really rescue, but help. But in all honesty, she's more of a plot device than a damsel in distress character. She's a good character, but she is a plot point, a plot device of the movie. And like I said, I think there's potential for the character to go forward should she ever return outside of that dream sequence in Calling All Engines, where she was also a plot point. Well, to be honest, next time she might appear, if she does appear again, then she probably would be a plot point then. But if she became a regular character, maybe she'd stop being a plot point and actually became more of an interesting character. I think there's potential. Oh, and there's also a dog called Mutt, which has a really original name for a dog. Yeah, he's there as well. He's just there. Oh, before we go, I actually realised after I finished doing the review, I'd forgotten to talk about the music. So I'm going to quickly talk about that now before I finish up. Okay, the music in this film. The music is brilliant. This film has a great score. For starters, the opening title theme music, it feels like a musical overture that you'll get in musicals or musical films like Oliver, or older films like Gone with the Wind. It's got a great overture music to it, and it's great that it incorporates the Thomas the Tank Engine theme into the music as well. We also get some other great pieces of music throughout the film, and it just works really well. Hermie Mann did a great job with the score. We also get a couple of songs. We got the Shining Time song, which is done twice. The first one is provided by a male singer who I can't remember his name of. in the scene with Shining Time Station is introduced, and then we got a version um, by a female singer who I can't quite remember her name, but that plays in the end credits, following a version of the Locomotion by Atomic Kitten, which sadly got cut short in the credit sequence, but you can listen to the full version in the soundtrack. There's also a cover of He's a Really Useful Engine, although a shorter version. That was a song from the original TV show, from seasons 1 and 2, I think, or was made around that time, although it's a shorter version. And although it's got a notable, I think it's a sing here and there, normal singer, it does have the child choir, that was a child choir, like the original song, in there, and it's difficult to tell which one's the actual adults and which one's the because the kids are louder than him most of the time. It almost feels pointless to have him there, and just why not just have the kids on their own, or why not just give it as a solo to the guy? I think there's 2 other songs in this movie. There's I Know How the Moon Must Feel, which is played which is played when Lily's on the train. It does work as the music there. Um, and then there's also a song there's on the sound. There's a song on the soundtrack. I don't think works in the movie. Maybe it was. I didn't actually hear it in the film. There's a song on the radio Burnett is listening to. It might have been that song, but I didn't hear the song I thought didn't work for this movie in the song. I didn't actually think How the Moon Must Feel actually worked on its own, but in the movie it actually does work. Was there any other songs? If there's any other songs, me in the future will edit it in, but I think that's about it. Those are the songs that appear in the movie. Um, and yeah, the only one that I didn't think worked was one that I didn't actually hear, and if it was in the movie, it might have been the rate on the radio that Burnett Stone was listening to. But if it wasn't, then it's on the soundtrack, and I think that's just as well that one was cut. And How the Moon Must Feel doesn't work on its own, but in the movie it does actually fit in. It does actually work. Yeah, I think the music in this film is brilliant, and we've got quite a few good songs as well, especially the Atomic Kitten Locomotion and the end credits. Both Shining Times, actually. Yeah, so fantastic music score and some great songs as well. And also, as I was talking about this movie, the Thunderbirds movie and the Doctor Who TV movie being guilty pleasures of those franchises that I love, and loved as a kid. One of the 3 things those 3 have in common is the music score is one of the best things of their movie. In this film's case, it's the music by Hermie Mann. In the Thunderbirds movie, the 2004 one, it's by Hans Zimmer, and in the Doctor Who TV movie, it's by John Debney. All 3 do fantastic jobs with their music scores. Okay, John Debney had some help, but all 3 music scores were absolutely fantastic, and are probably a big reason why I love them. But they're not the only ones. But I think they helped. Right, so that's it of me talking about the music of this film, and back to me to wrap up the review. As for a cinematography vibe, I think cinematography is pretty cool. As for the editing, it's kind of a bit of a mess because it's been jiggled around a bit in post, and normal editing wise it's fine, but in some structurey bits not so much, and there is quite a bit of, maybe there's some plot holes, or maybe there's some bits that we cut to straight away, or not straight away, but to a bit later on that felt like it should come earlier, or maybe feels like there was something missing, perhaps. So yeah, and I think it could have been handled a little bit better. I think it was hastily edited together to remove the bits that were supposed to be removed, and apparently Britt Allcroft wasn't even aware of the final cut that came out, so she might have approved a final cut, but then it got edited again, maybe. Ultimately, the film is a bit of a mess in the edit, and that's probably due to executive meddling and all of the changes that had to be made. And sadly, those changes ruined the film. I think it could have been a bit better. I think it would have been a bit more fun as well. I certainly find earlier on in the film, there's bits that feel like they're going on and just it's taking its time, but there's also quite a lot happening in the first couple of minutes. It's feeling like it's very fast-paced, very quickly, and then it slows down a little bit, and by the time you get to 18 minutes in, you're like, a lot's happened, but at the same time, it's got a bit of a slow feel. And you're surprised it's only 18 minutes with all of the events that have happened, but at the same time, it does then slow So the pacing is a bit all over the place. Sometimes it's too fast, sometimes it's too slow, and sometimes you have no idea what's going on. Well, and sometimes it just feels disconjointed. And yeah, and from speaking which, when Mr. Conductor Junior is on the back of Diesel 10, he's been captured the one day, and then it seems that the next day he's on Diesel 10, and they go to the um steelworks. So he was on Diesel 10 for a whole day or half a day before getting to the steelworks and then meeting James. Yeah, I think that was another bit that was a bit oddly edited around. There was quite a bit in between, but it still felt a bit odd. Maybe there was some scenes that were cut that could have explained what was going on in the meantime. Ultimately, Thomas and the Magic Railroads, as it is all right. I think it could have been a lot better, and maybe the director's cut is the original cut. But this version could have had a lot more improvements. I feel very sorry for Britt Allcroft and the creative team behind the movie because they put their all into it. They put their heart and soul into this movie, but ultimately some bad decisions and executive meddling, alongside some bad luck and circumstances, ultimately made this movie not as good as it could have been. It actually dampened the movie, and that's why it got such a poor reception and ultimately bombed at the box office following poor sales. Although it did make its budget back and a little bit more, it was only a small amount more, which meant it bombed. Well, at least it met its budget. And it's because of this movie that apparently Britt Allcroft resigned or stepped down from her own company shortly afterwards, and then left the Thomas series after the 7th series in 2003. That was now being owned by Hit Entertainment, which then kind of took creative control for the next 9 seasons. And yeah, I suppose you could say everything that went wrong over the next couple of series is because seasons 8 to 16, especially 13 to 16, have not got a very good reputation, and for good reason. Maybe not too bad. Maybe season 8's not too bad, but afterwards, before 17, not a good reputation. And even 6 and 7 weren't as popular as 1 to 5. So you could possibly say that the downfall of the franchise started with this movie, and it was probably due to the executive meddling. And the series probably wouldn't get a proper revival until Andrew Brenner took over with the 17th season. Season 17, all that way away, in 2013. So that's disappointing to hear. Maybe if the film had been better, maybe it would have gotten a bit more of a better reception at the very least. As it is, I think the film is okay, but I think it could have been a whole lot better. I enjoyed it for what it was, and it wasn't just nostalgia goggles putting on this time. I actually thought it was pretty decent, and on a critical level, it was pretty decent. But there was plenty of missed problems, and I won't give all my criticisms towards the creative studio because they did try their best. They did have something better, probably in the pipeworks, or at least slightly better, but due to executive meddling, yeah, this is what we got. And whilst I did like it, I thought it was all right. It's not going to be the film that everyone was hoping it was going to be back in the day. I'm going to be giving Thomas and the Magic Railroad a 7 out of 10. Yeah, throughout those last couple of bits where I was getting a bit more, oh, this isn't that great. I thought it was all right. You would have thought I would give it a lower score, but because I did enjoy it, because I think it's fun, I gave it a 7. I thought it's enjoyable. I think it's better when you watch it than when you think about it. Otherwise, I think I might have given it a 6, but I've lent to the 7 because I enjoyed it quite a bit, and I think it's going to be fine for younger viewers, maybe under 6s, so the main target audience of Thomas. It's when you get to the older audiences and the the older kids and adults, that's where it's probably going to go down, and the problems are going to get more noticeable the older you get, and maybe in the future, when I saw this one when I was younger, I probably would have given it a 9 or a 10 out of 10, just because it was Thomas, and I loved watching it as a kid. Probably watched it quite a lot. It might even have been the most watched movie I've ever seen. Possibly this, or one of the Disney films, or the 2004 Thunderbirds. And along with that movie and the Doctor Who TV movie, these are guilty pleasure movies that not everybody loves. They're the ones that get quite a bit of criticism from fans and or casual audiences. But I and a couple of other people enjoy them for what they are. Of course, the best of the three is the Doctor Who TV movie, and you can go and check that review out as soon as this one's done if you want. But ultimately, Magic Railroad isn't that brilliant. It's good, it's enjoyable, and it will satisfy the younger audiences, the younger child audiences, but older child audiences and older audiences in general, maybe not so much. Maybe some with the nostalgia goggles or the entertainment value, or those in the know of the production history might like it a bit more. They might give it a bit more of a fair shot. They might enjoy it, but I can understand why some people would not like the movie. I completely understand. As for me, I enjoy it. Right, so that's about it from this movie. So thank you for watching this review. Hope you enjoyed the review, and I hope you enjoyed the sketch at the start, and I'm going to have an end sketch right afterwards. Hope you enjoyed that too. And yeah, the opening sketch was basically a recreation of the chase at the very end, which is probably the best scene in the movie. But anyway, so that's it from me. Thank you for watching this review. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.
So, what did you guys think of the movie? Percy, you absolute genius! Wow! That was brilliant! Oh, well done, Percy. Nice job. Ah, thanks, Thomas. Where was I? Shh! Hey, Henry, thanks again for taking the express whilst I take Diesel 10 to, train jail. No problem, Gordon. I'll get you for this, you little... Shut up! Express coming through! It's not the express, but you know what I mean.
Now, if you don't mind, I'd like to catch my train now. I think it's over there. Yes. I do like riding trains and trams, after all. Yes, so do I. Got things to do. People to impress.
Thank you for helping out, lady. It was my pleasure, Thomas. Thank you for helping me escape Diesel 10. It was nothing. And that's my cue. Gotta stay on time and everything. Bye, lady. I'll see you later. Bye, Thomas. See you later. Yes. He's a really useful engine. A little too useful. What do you mean? Well, that was my whistle. That was supposed to be me. And he's gone early. Whoops. Yeah, exactly. He's so cool. Who, Thomas or Toby? Well, both of them, obviously, but I was talking about Thomas. Wise words. Wise words. Woo! Go us! Peep, peep!
Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the official Nicholas Payne Retro YouTube channel.